I'm going to make this oak joint stool. The drawing's a copy of one that I had in for restoration. I started it about 3 years ago, but all I managed to do was I turned 2 of the legs and a couple of blanks, so they need turning, and then all that bit's done. And I cut a piece for the top. This had quite a bad bend in it. It was not so nice. It's still got some of it there. But I planed it up. It's the right thickness. Got another offcut here, which will do for the end rails at the top. So that's that. That one, I'm hoping to get the 2 long rails at the bottom out of that piece. This one really is firewood. I mean, I'll be lucky if I get anything out of that. But if I can get the bottom rails for the ends, I might get one that end, I might get one there. But that really is rubbish. I don't mind using stuff like this for like 17th century style of furniture. It does look quite good, even if it's got the odd shake in it and, you know, knots and things, but obviously I can't use that bit. The long rails at the top, I've got 2 decent bits of quartered that have been lying around for a while. This shows the end of the stool where the legs are splayed out, so these are all at an angle. These are the 2 pieces for the longer lengths. These are cut square, so that's not a problem, but they are absolutely dreadful. There's a hell of a curve in that, so I've got to try and plane them so that they're flat. Now I need 13 inches, so if I'm going to cut a little bit off that, there's going to be an inch tenon on either end. So that means the only bit that needs to be flat is going to be that bit there. So if I plane that straight along that, I will actually get 3/4 of an inch. But it looks like end grain. I mean, that is not going to be easy to plane. I'll machine it. I'm not going to go through the thickness or anything. It doesn't matter if they're slightly uneven. Even if I left it with a slight curve on it, it doesn't really matter. It just makes it easier if it's straight. So I'm going to see if I can actually use those 2 pieces. The other bits, there's a lot of shakes in that. Again, it looks like end grain. I've actually got 3 of those out, but none of them are particularly good. Got that bit of a knot there. I'll plane them all up and see which ones are the best. That one is probably the cleanest one. It's still got a crack in it there. I'll run these through the circular saw just to get them down to a uniform thickness, and then I can plane them again and keep them virtually the right thickness all the way along. And it doesn't matter if they're a little bit out. I'm not thicknessing them, I'm just going to run them over this. I've done as much as I can with the router, and I've just cut a line there with a marking gauge, which is that, just to give me the line. So I'll cut that a little bit deeper with a knife and then just round it over with a chisel and then maybe a shoulder plane. So that's the top rails finished, apart from the tenons on the end. And these are what I've got out of the bottom rails. Those are the long ones. They've actually come out pretty well, considering what they started out as. They're straight. Once I've got the tenons on there, might need to fudge that a little bit. Well, they'll be okay. The shorter ones, that one's a little bit too bad. I mean, I could probably get away with it. If it's all hard, I'd use it. That one's not so bad. A little shake in it there, but it's okay. That one again, a little nick there, but doesn't matter. And I did find this piece, which looks terrible, but it's actually not so bad. If I cut that down to 1 7/8, I'll get rid of all these shakes on the top. There's a hole there, but it's nice because it's got that burr in it. There's a big chunk missing there, but if I have that at the bottom and that's on the outside, well, I don't mind that. So I'm tempted to use that. I could just about get away with it as a long one as well if I needed to, but I'll have to think about that. Well, I've definitely got enough. I've cut the tenons and marked the mortise in for the top rails, so I'll cut those out and get these together, and then I'll be able to measure the length of the bottom rails on the ends, because the legs splay out. I'll need to measure it once it's the top's together. I've cut a couple of notches in the tops of the legs so that I can get a clamp on it. Stick another one just underneath, just to pull that joint together. So now I can measure and mark out the rails for the bottom, which I've marked where they're supposed to end up, the bottom of the rail. And it actually does measure 9 inch, which is what's on the drawing, so I'm happy with that. As for the top, I'm going to go over it with the scrub plane, just to give it a more authentic look about it. That I'll get rid of. It needs cutting down a little bit, and the moulding will get rid of anything that's left. So the top's okay. Underneath, I'll give it the same treatment with the scrub plane to get rid of machine marks. That bit there where you can still see the bandsaw marks when it was cut originally, I want to get rid of that. And I have got an old carpenter's adze. This is a pin pole adze because it's got the pin on the end. Normally used for sort of flattening beams off and things like that, and it would have been used on wet wood, but it will cut this even though it's sort of bone dry. Like I say, it doesn't look great, but it's underneath, so it doesn't matter, as long as it gets rid of the saw marks. And the top's okay, so all I need to do now is cut this to size and put the moulding around the edge. I've fixed the top on. I've fixed it with 4 of those pegs. They're just a bit longer on this one. And I've put each one down into each leg. The thing I did wrong was I drilled it straight down. I should have done it at the same angle as the leg, which should help it hold on better. But there is a little bit of glue in the hole in the top of the leg, so they'll not come out, they'll be fine. It does look better with the pegs sticking out a little bit, which I've done the same on the top. So next is stain it, distress it and polish it. I've mixed up some of this stuff, so it's a chemical reaction rather than a stain, so I don't know what it's going to be like, because different oaks vary. So that's European, that's English, this is an old piece of English, so I'll brush this on and see what the colour's like. I'll just do it on the inside, which doesn't matter, it's going to get loads of stain inside here anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. The colour's even on all the different pieces, so first thing I'll do is I'll give it a good drenching in water to raise the grain, give it a light sanding, and then I can start colouring it up.